such an interesting place. Talking a little bit, it's been a bit beat since I've been live. I've been traveling a lot and driving a lot. And I had some interesting things come up on this trip already. And I haven't even gotten to like officially our first like rescue weekend. So I'm going to be going to MJM Rescue in Dunbar, Nebraska. And I'll tell you, this trip, when you have that much time on your own in your car by yourself, like you start hearing voices, And I have a retreat that I run, or I haven't ran it since I left, but I run, and it's called the Journey to Truth. And that's really what this has been, is a journey to truth. And if you're watching and any of this resonates with you, please just drop your name or a little hello in the comments. If you're new to following me, I'd like to get to know you. And if you've known me for a while, welcome back. But I'm Jen Zoe, as everybody that's watching knows. It says that right on my name tag. But this has been a really, really tough journey. I'm not going to lie. It's really been a journey inside myself, and I'm already feeling the emotions start to come up. Who here has ever felt fear? And you can raise your hand and say, oh yeah, I'm afraid. But when fear like grips you and gets a hold of you, it can be very challenging. And I've been on this path. I started in New Smyrna Beach, and I was there for 30 days at an Airbnb, like building the things that are in the Zen Club, like getting my plan ready to go, reaching out to people, enrolling people in the membership program to support horse rescue. And what's really interesting about the Zen Club is that it's not just here, give us your money for horse rescue. There's a ton of value in there. There's a lot of great things that are for yourself in there. And one of the things that I am really adamant about making sure it comes across is really how to overcome fear. And to do it by yourself, is really hard. And you have to trust a higher power, to overcome these fears. And they're in every religious text. I don't care if it's the Bible or the Gita or what have you. There are so many times that it is reiterated to not be afraid, be still and trust and know that I am God. Like, give all that worry to your higher power. And that's really easy. But something really interesting happened on the way to see my father. I haven't seen my father in a very long time. And my niece was getting married. My deceased brother's daughter. And I was like, I'm not missing this, So I really wanted to be at my niece's wedding, but I knew it was going to be challenging. And because I was going to have to face my dad. And the big piece that was important to me is that I got to see my mom. And who here loves their mom? Mother's Day is coming up, and I haven't, my father won't allow me to see her. I can't just show up for lunch or come over for Easter dinner. Like that's not allowed in my world. And it's kind of like the taboo topic in my family. Like, nobody's allowed to talk about the elephant in the room. Like, nobody understands why, I kind of dug it out of my mom one day, but it's very personal. And I talk about it. And this is something we talk about in the Zen Club, like these kind of things, because I was on my way. Oh, even just sharing this here, it's like it's allowing it to release and it's allowing it to come out of my body. And I was on my way from my girlfriend's place near Pensacola, Florida, to St. Louis. And I'm a road warrior, guys. I used to pull a 42-foot rig. I've driven through the Tappan Zee Bridge with a U-Haul trailer and got lost in the Bronx. And, getting on the road is like 17 hours. Like, oh, that's one day for me. The longest trek I ever made was just outside Durango, Colorado, to St. Louis, Missouri, with a 42-foot rig, a living quarters horse trailer, an F-350, and a headwind in western Kansas with a trailer load full of horses. It was a 17-hour trek, and there for a while, I was only getting about 4 miles to the gallon. And I just did it. Now, when I got to St. Louis, my horses were like, and I was like vibrating, but it wasn't a big deal. So, when I was coming into Mobile, Alabama, that first morning to drive to St. Louis, I went over one of those like feats of engineering overpasses, and I started feeling my hands starting to sweat, and like my heart started pounding a little bit, or a lot of it. And I was like, what the heck? So I slowed down, and luckily it was like it was like no traffic. It was like zero traffic. And I got across that bridge, but my hands were really shaking. I was like, and then I had to go through a tunnel. I had to go through downtown Mobile. And I was like, wait a second. So I pulled off and kind of reorganized my thoughts. And I'm like, what is happening? All right, big drink of water, back on the road, and I get to Jackson, Mississippi. Now, I don't know how far Jackson, Mississippi is. I guess I could look it up, because again, if we're going from Pensacola to Mobile to Jackson to Memphis to St. Louis, like I was just going to drive it pretty much straight through. I had no like that doesn't even bother me. So let's see. I don't know. I'll have to look up and see how far Jackson is from Mobile. But I got to Jackson, Mississippi, and I started feeling the same thing. I went up over those big overpasses, and there were like barrels along the way, and like one of the lanes was closed. And even just thinking about it now, I'm like, what was really happening? And I had to call my best friend. I had my little GPS on my phone, and I was like, "Hey Siri," I won't say it on my phone now. It'll call her. It did this last time I told the story. So I called out to Siri and said, call my friend. And I said, Daniela, I'm okay, but I need you to talk me off this bridge. And she just got in my ear over the speaker. Thank God she answered the phone. And I was going like 30, white knuckling it, coming across that overpass. And I ended up in a Whataburger parking lot in downtown Jackson, Mississippi. I could see the Capitol building and everything. And I'm like, what is happening? And I realized that I was emotionally exhausted. Who here has ever been emotionally exhausted? And as each mile was getting closer and closer and closer to this big specter of my father I was getting ready to face, I was like, it was like, Tony Robbins says, kill the monster while it's little, where there was no little monster. It was so big. And so I'm sitting there in the Whataburger parking lot. My mom calls, and I have to take that call. When I can only answer the phone when my mom calls, I better answer, because I don't know how long she has to talk to me before my dad comes back and finds out what's happening. So I was like, all right, hang on, I'll call you back. Talked to my mom, and it was so fascinating. After all that fear and panic, and my heart's still fluttering, and I'm still feeling like this emotional rawness, I'm telling my mom what's going on. I said, hey, she goes, how you doing? I'm like, you want the truth? She's like, no, lie to me. And my mom is suffering. She has Parkinson's and has a lot of other physical ailments. So communication with her has become a bit of a challenge, but very sad, honestly. Parkinson's is not nice. It's not a nice disease or condition, or whatever you want to call it. So I was talking to her, and I was telling her, I was like, listen, I am feeling a certain way. And I just had a panic attack. That's, there's no other way around it. I had a panic attack. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what is going on? I haven't had, nothing like that's happened in a long time. And she said, well, honey, just go pull yourself by your bootstraps, take a big deep breath, and get back in that car and get up here. And I was like, did you not just hear that I had like a full, but it was very interesting to me to hear that. But that wasn't her voice. It wasn't like, I couldn't hear my mom's empathy or compassion coming through. It was just kind of like, and it was very interesting to me when I think about it, because this interesting part, because fear is fear, y'all. And I do fear makeovers with horses all the time. So I was like, man, this is like crushing. This is crippling. There are so many adjectives that disempowering for me to talk about this. And I was like, I can't like pull myself. There are no bootstraps. There are no boots, So luckily I looked across the street, and there was a Holiday Inn or a hotel. And I was like, on a shoestring doing this trip. Like, no, I don't want to spend money on a hotel. So I kind of, got out, walked around, kind of moved my body a little bit. I'm like, you know what? Memphis, this is what I said to myself. Memphis is only 4.5 hours away. I can make it to Memphis. And I got back in my car and I fired it up and I was like, no, that is a bad idea. So downtown Mississippi, I go and I get a hotel, right? I stay the night and everything. Next morning I get up, I'm still feeling like Gumby. I'm like, oh, and I'm like, well, I have to get there. Like, luckily I had built in an extra day to allow myself, to get to my niece's wedding, but it's the day, and I look at the schedule. I've got plenty of time. I could take my time. And I got to Memphis, and it was so funny because I was eating a banana when I got to Memphis. And I was like, all right, now my hands are sweating. My hands are sweating even now. What an interesting physiological response to fear, right? And we talk about this all the time when your mind and your body and your mind, there's a mind-body connection to what you're thinking and how you're feeling and and then ultimately what you think. Because if you're feeling fear, anxiety, panic, worry, doubt, all of those things, your brain is going to start scanning for things to validate those feelings instead of going, well, maybe this isn't the way I should feel. And so I was in Memphis, coming up on Memphis, and I realized I got to go across the Mississippi River. And luckily again, like no traffic. And I was hugging that center lane. I was eating a banana, like kind of on my way. And I get there and I'm like 10 and 2, here we go, going across the bridge. And I'm like a seasoned driver. I got my license the day I turned 16, completely false evidence appearing real, right? So I'm going across the bridge and I'm like, banana, 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 and I don't even know where that came from, but I made it across the bridge, right? And it's like, whatever you have to do. And when we do the firewalks, again, I've walked on fire 8 times. Like, where is this coming from? But those of you that are listening, you guys get it. You understand where this is coming from. If you have experienced fear, like a deep level of fear, it can come from anywhere and it can manifest in any way. How you overcome it is the key piece. And I've done the firewalk at Tony Robbins events multiple times, at least a half a dozen, maybe more. And he tells you eyes up, think forward, and he has a phrase, cool moss. And you go across and you're like, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss, and you take your mind out of your body and you go across those coals, right? And that's what I was doing with that bridge in my own way. I was like, banana, 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 but I did it. And ultimately, I got across Memphis, and now I'm on I-55 and I'm going all the way to St. Louis. There's like no other option. I looked into sea and I had a buffer of about 4 hours. I was going to get there. I was like, I'm going to get there. I'm going to take a nice shower. I'm going to go get my nails done. I had like the afternoon plan to get ready for the wedding. And now I'm sitting here going, I hope I make it in time. Like that's how challenging it was. And this is a really vulnerable thing to talk about, you guys, because I'm on this road trip, for crying out loud, right? So I'm stopping like every 30 minutes. I'm trying to eat, maybe have a soda, something to get some sugar to offset the adrenaline. And I'm talking to my friends and, so and as I get closer, I'm starting to feel even more panic, even more fear. What's going to happen? Don't know. And it wasn't even about that. I couldn't even think about my dad or my family or my mom or, who's going to say what, or my niece or the wedding or what I'm wearing. I couldn't think about any of that. I was just having this fear of driving, and it was so bizarre. And so I was, finally got to Festus, Missouri, Festivus for the rest of us, after stopping so many times, like pulling over on the road and going into Burger King and just collecting myself and, going to the bathroom, washing my hands, or stopping at a convenience store and just walking around and just saying affirmations. And I really love what people say when they say, you don't rise to your potential, you fall to your level of training. And so I tapped into my training, you guys, and I realized that this fear was like really more about a lot of other things, not even just my dad. I hadn't been to Poplar Bluff in my hometown in a long time. And I had plans to go see some friends and do that. I'm starting this journey. I'm leaving Florida. I'm trusting my horses with a a friend, but things that are most important to me in my world, I haven't seen them forever. So I'm not getting the juice from those guys. And I mean, and I got rid of everything. I don't even have a storage unit. I have everything that I need with me and within me right now as I take this journey to go and support horse rescues. And it's being very well received. I've not gotten criticism from one person saying, what are you doing? And I explain it. And I'm like, I'm going to those rescues. And I've been working with Tony Robbins and natural horsemanship. And I've gotten a lot of skills and expertise over the years. And I'm blending these ecosystems to support horse rescue through the contribution community. And that is of an unbelievable value in the personal development space, using horses as the vehicle for the opportunity to learn. There's so many times where now I look at Bella, who's like stressing out over doing a circle, and I feel for her so much more deeply after experiencing my own, pain and fear and doubt, right? And so tapping into really asking yourself, like, what can I do to be better? Just every phrase I might wake up and I say, today, God, creator, source, whatever your flavor of higher power is, like, what can I do today to serve myself and others at a higher level? What needs to happen? And over and over and over on this trip specifically, it's been let go of the fear. Release the fear. You are fine. You're going to be okay. You are okay. Be in the present moment right now and just put your foot on the gas. And like my mom said, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get back out on the road, because you've got work to do. You've got work to do. And, all of this fear, however it's manifesting. I get to drive all the way across the state of Arkansas today. I'm in Arkansas. And I'll show you like what this looks like. I'm in a cabin and I don't have like the best, this is my cabin, you guys. Like, this is a cabin in the middle of nowhere in Arkansas, a beautiful 2-bedroom. The woods are amazing. And I'm here, on my own. And having gone and seen, let's get back real quick to finish the story about the wedding, because obviously I made it and I survived. But, driving in downtown St. Louis traffic, not my cup of tea, like not an idea. I'm like, why did she get married in downtown St. Louis? Right. But here we are. And so I got to Festus, Missouri, and I went into the grocery store. I got some, good sustenance and everything, which, by the way, traveling and eating healthy, very hard. Very hard. You got to be super dedicated, because it is fried chicken and shit that's been sprayed with glyphosate everywhere you go. I'm like, I could do a whole diners, drive-ins, and dives just on fried chicken. So like everywhere, it's fried chickens everywhere. So I'm in Festus, Missouri. We're like, a Festivus for the rest of us. And my friend, I had a friend, she got 2 a.m.er. That's my 2 a.m.er. That's like, send me your location. Let me talk you through it. And she talked me all the way in to downtown. She talked me out, kept me on the phone. My other friend, she's like, you've got this, like that system of support, because no man's an island, right? No woman is an island either. But something that's interesting about having a system of support versus isolation versus solitude, that's been like one of the biggest pieces for me. And I'm used to spending, as an extrovert, I spend an extraordinary amount of time by myself. I spend a lot of time on my own, with or without my horses. And I think that there's I've been listening to Jordan Peterson about this topic, and I agree with him. I think that there is a special superpower that you can get, that you like kind of acquire, no capes, right? But you acquire this superpower when you have the ability and to be alone with yourself. And there's a certain part of your right brain that becomes stolid and stoic and really can tolerate a lot of things. I had this lady this morning, she was wanting to buy some essential oils, and then she changed her mind. And I said, just, what happened? What changed? And she's like, I don't know, you an explanation. And I was like, no, just asking, geez, So just like being who I am, and this beautiful, fun, effusive, kind, generous, caring person that's created this stuff for horse rescue. That's me. I just want to go play with horses, and all the nasty comments and all that stuff. When you have the ability to be on your own and have that solitude, you get some thick skin, yo. You get some thick skin. And today I'm going to go conquer those inner states. And I'm going to be, and interestingly enough, the further I get away from my father, the easier it becomes. Proximity is power, whether it be a benevolent power or a Machiavellian one, and this is the cool piece. I have a very, very strong discernment and a secret decoder ring for my emotions now. And when I start to feel that banana kind of feeling, I go, wait a sec, where is this coming from? Who's driving the conversation? And what is the belief system behind it? And I really tap in. I'm like, man, when you're by yourself and you have this stuff going on and you can't, the things that I work with my personal and private clients, I'm now working. I'm like, well, better shine that mirror on myself, right? So the last back at the Hall of Justice. Meanwhile, on the way to the wedding, the last 18 minutes was on the interstate, and it had started to rain a little bit. It was cloudy and nasty out. And I was like, I was just raw. I felt like gritty sandpaper on a sunburn. I was just emotionally, mentally, physically just raw from the drive. And just feeling that I pulled off one last time, and my friend called me. She's like, are you okay? I see, because she was following me on the GPS, making sure I was, still getting there. And I said, I'm okay. I just needed to take another break. Guys, it took me over 3 hours to go 87 miles, and it's tough to be vulnerable like this, especially with, as in a leadership role, we're like, oh, karate man bruises on the inside. But I think it's important to share these vulnerabilities with people, and the fact that, sometimes, even though most of the time I am absolutely confident and driven and passionate about serving horses and really, but there's these times when things show up and they can kind of hit you out of nowhere. So I said, I'm fine. And I looked at the GPS and I saw a non-highway route that was going to take me an extra 18 minutes and put me at the wedding, just in the nick of time. And I go, I don't care. I cannot get back out on that highway. And I ask myself, could I have? And the answer, of course, is yes. The answer is always yes. Answer is always yes. Could you have done better? Yes, always. Even though in that moment you're doing your best. Because when you stop and you look back, you can learn something. Another neuron fires, another pathway lays out. But in the moment, I was doing my best. I'm like, all right, not getting back on the highway. It's going to take me another 18 minutes, but I'm okay with that. And my friend's like, it's 12 minutes or whatever. I don't remember. It was going to be 30 minutes to the thing instead of half of that. I was like, I don't care. It's going to be stoplights. It's going to be, I can go slow and I don't have to go fast and I don't have to worry about anything else. And I did. I got to the wedding with 4 minutes to spare, and I got to hug my mom. And it was really interesting because I watched my father and how he behaved. And it kind of reminded me of a former relationship I had where I'll tell that story another day, where he had done something embarrassing and he was now put in a situation. It was another woman involved. And she was like, he had to be around both of us at the same time. And he was embarrassed. And I was looking at my dad, and he was kind of acting the same way that my ex had acted that day, kind of like his back to me and like pretending to be on his phone and trying to ignore the situation. And I walked right up to him. I put my hand on his shoulder and patted him. And I said, hey, Dad, how you doing, sir? And that was it. And there was no response. He didn't really even barely acknowledge me, but I got to hug my mom now. And I got to say goodbye because I probably will not see my mom again. My niece had to get married for my dad to bring her to a space where I would be allowed to interact with her. That was hard. That was really hard. And I was okay with it. I got to the point where I was like, if I have to pull over and call an Uber to Uber me to the wedding, I'm making it. But when it took me over 3 hours to drive less than 90 miles, I knew that I was fighting, my own version of Goliath in my head with my family and the meaning I was giving to being this prodigal son. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, I may be disappointing my father, but I'm not disappointing the father or my mission or myself, you know. And I know I'm not disappointing my father's higher self. He's just looking at me through the filters of his own life experiences and his own belief systems and values. And when I can extrapolate that and understand that at a deeper level, right now I'm a little bit like, I'm kind of over it. But the compassion is creeping in, the love for him, the ho'oponopono, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, is creeping in. The acceptance, understanding, if not tolerance of the behavior, the understanding of the higher spirit behind the individual taking the behavior. Because we tend to judge other people's intentions based on their behavior, yet we judge our behavior based on our intentions. So I think about that, and I think he's just like me for however it's manifesting, doing the best he can with the information available to him at the time, right? And when we can know better, as Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. And every day I say, how can I do better today, God? Creator, source, universe, guide me, align me, allow me to feel the feeling of love and support that I feel for others. Allow me to love myself even more, so I can love others even more, and just more of that. And that's why I created the Zen Club, to bring people like that together so we can fall apart and be in struggle and not be worried about being judged. So we can have a safe and sacred container of people that are aligned with their values and want to support and help and contribute to something larger than themselves. So do you have to have horses to be in the Zen Club or be a part of this? No, but a love for them sure does help, because I sure love them, because they saved my life when I was in my belly of the whale. And every time I think about how I was feeling facing my father, I felt like I was going through the tail end of that whale, like no lie. So I hope that's helpful and supportive to each of you, anyone that's watching or listening. And I'm in one of the most beautiful places, like it's woods. I'll be posting more soon. I've been driving a lot, so I haven't had the opportunity to post and share about my journey like I want to. But I want you all to know that this journey has been a journey to truth, a journey to self-love, a journey to self-discovery. Everything that I've learned from horses and through horses that I offer to you through my community. So if you're interested in supporting not just horses or me, support yourself. Be a part of this. It's inexpensive. A portion of it goes to horse rescue, and what you're going to get out of it for yourself. My little 30-cent commercial, is an opportunity to be in a sacred container and learn about this love, discovery, and truth. And Tony Robbins did an intervention with me at my date with destiny. God, it seems like a million years ago. And he asked me, what's your news story? And my news story, I'll never forget it. I'll have to post about it. The truth and authenticity that's within me has yet to be revealed. And when it is, it will be built on a foundation that is stronger than the pyramids. Thank you. It is done. Right. And I think about that. I'm like, that is who I am. Who are you? The most interesting question you could ever ask yourself. Who am I? And I like my good friend Lauren. Thank you, Lauren, for donating some I am cards to rescues for me. But I have these shirts that say I am, and they're like loving, kind, strong, caring, powerful, all these things. Not one of them says I'm scared. Leave that to something else. Leave that to the higher power to hold that space for you. And I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to y'all, because I'm getting ready to get on the road. Yay! That's awesome. I need to get more of those, more I am shirts. We have some t-shirts being made for the rescue and the Road to the Rescue tour. My next stop is Mena, Arkansas. I will post today where all I'm going. I'll just say it quickly. I'm going to Mena, Arkansas. I'm going to Kansas City. I get to go to Kansas City. I'll probably have some fried chicken there. Oh, God. Then I go to Dunbar, Nebraska, to MJM Rescue, doing an experience there for a weekend. We're going to be offering a live stream for like $20. You can jump in. If you're in the area, come and join us. It's going to be a blast. I'm going to be doing a makeover with one of her rescued horses. And then I go to Wisconsin, spend some time there with a friend. And then I kind of meander my way back to Florida. So when I get back to Florida, I'm going to be hitting Southern State Rescue. So if you're in Florida, Georgia, that area, and you have a rescue that you would like me to come and work, I don't charge the rescues any money. I'm not here to take. This is not about this. This is about stone soup, building a container of people that are like-minded, and we all share. You bring the potatoes, I bring the carrots, and let's make some stew together, right? So that's the philosophy behind everything I've created, and I am committing to going live more frequently so you guys can stay apprised to what I'm doing, and doing some more posting so you can follow my journey a little more closely, because this is powerful, you guys. And this is a different kind of horsepower, because I believe everyone deserves to have a life-changing experience with a horse that maintains the dignity of the animal. And that's what I'm about. So thank you all. Thank you, Cindy, for your comment. I hope everyone has an incredible Tuesday. I have to hit the road, and follow me for more. Take care. Have a blessed day. Bye.